Hello there and welcome back to Bullets for Bucks. My name's Stephen Bresnaugh and today we're doing a ballistics profile on this 6.8 Western, a brand new cartridge introduced by Winchester. Now you might be thinking, I can't even find cartridges for my older rifles with older manufactured cartridges, so why in the heck would you introduce a brand new cartridge right now when we're in an ammunition shortage? Well, my guess is that Winchester probably had this idea and in the works for a long time before they could see any of this coming, and so they just went ahead and introduced it at the scheduled time despite what we're facing right now. On the flip side, well, you can find this cartridge, this ammo, in a lot of stores right now when you can't find anything else. The downside is you can't hardly find any rifles chambered in 6.8 Western yet. So, probably not the best time to introduce a new cartridge, but here we are. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. It's a short action cartridge, has just this is the 165 AccuBond factory offering by Winchester, by the way. And in that offering, it does have a just a shorter overall length than a 6.5 PRC 143 grain ELDX offering by Hornady. So that's something to take note. Let's just do that for a comparison. So here's the 143 grain 6.5 PRC ELDX factory offering against the Winchester. This is a 143 grain bullet, and this is a 165 grain, as I just mentioned. And you'll see it's just barely a little bit longer tip here, overall length on the 6.5 PRC. But of course, if you hand load these or there's different factory offerings, that could vary. Now, why would we develop this cartridge when there's so many others on the market? Why would Winchester come out with this cartridge? Well, it kind of hits a sweet spot between your already existing cartridges such as the 6.5 PRC or the 6.5 Creedmoor and bigger cartridges such as maybe the 300 PRC, or excuse me, 300 PRC, 300 Win Mag or 7mm Magnum. So it gives you the ability to shoot heavier bullets in a short action platform with great long, sleek, slender, high ballistic coefficient bullets that are going to perform really well in the wind and at long ranges and have good sectional densities. So that's part of the reason why. It's giving you a little bit of an edge over the 6.5 PRC. You're going to be able to shoot a bigger bullet, a heavier bullet, with arguably better terminal performance out of this cartridge with just a little bit more felt recoil. Not much though. So the muzzle velocity out of this Expedition Big Game Long Range AccuBond factory offering, that by the way comes with a polymer tip, extended oak jive, a bonded lead alloy core bullet with a nice jacket technology that's supposed to expand at certain, extreme long ranges or long range hunting scenarios, which is all good stuff. And of course, it has a boat tail design to it. So yeah, it's a good bullet. It has a muzzle velocity. I have a 24-inch test barrel at 2970. It has foot-pounds of energy at 3226. So very lots of energy. It has a G1 BC of 0.62 and a G7 BC of 0.31. So very, very, very good. Good numbers there on paper, at least. One thing to note is that out of 8-pound rifle, this has a felt recoil or recoil of about 24.8 FP. So it's got quite a bit more than 13.8 FP that a 6.5 Creedmoor has with a 143 grain ELDX. But on the flip side, it has much less than a 300 Winchester short mag with a 190 grain bullet. So it's going to have less felt recoil. People are saying, well, why don't you just use a 300 Winchester short mag? Well, that's a good argument. And basically the argument there is that this is going to have less felt recoil, which is a big factor for many. So you're going to be able to observe your splashes or your hits a lot easier, get back on target quicker. And at the end of the day, it's going to be more comfortable to shoot, and therefore you might shoot it more accurately. Due to it being 6.8 or basically a 270 caliber, it's going to be, and you're going to be able to use long, thin, sleek bullets that are going to be probably a little bit better in the wind. With a 10-mile-an-hour crosswind, you're looking at about 13 inches adrift with this cartridge right here with this bullet. And with a 300 Winchester short mag, you're looking at about 14 inches adrift. So just a little bit better in the wind. That's with a 190 grain, by the way, in the Winchester short mag. And I know I'm looking at notes. I can't remember this all by heart. If you can, produce a video for me. But anyhow, at 500 yards with this factory offering, you're looking at 2251 as the velocity. So still a very high velocity out to 500 yards. And 1,856 foot-pounds of energy. So really good foot-pounds of energy, still plenty enough to take an elk at that 500-yard mark. Now let's jump to 1,000 yards. You're looking at 1649 for the velocity, so you're still well above that transonic zone, still cruising at good speeds, and you're looking at 996 foot-pounds of energy. That's less than I would take a deer or an antelope or an elk at, but I'll leave that up to you to decide. So, you know, it's a very high-performance cartridge. They're maximizing what you can do in a short action while utilizing long, sleek, slender, very efficient bullet designs or bullets. Now, of course, you can hand load other cartridges, but this isn't really a comparison video. You can hand load other cartridges to be arguably as good, but in a factory offering, this is a very, very good offering for those people looking to hunt at longer ranges. I would say probably out to about that 800-yard mark. However, if you cannot shoot the first shot and hit a game-sized target every time in fatigued condition, in a hunting environment, then you shouldn't be taking 800-yard shots. It's just that simple. You know, the fact is most of us shouldn't take a shot past 300 yards. But once again, the bullet itself, the cartridge itself, the rifle itself is capable of making those shots out to 800 yards, ethically in a sense. Now, let's jump back here. So 6.5 PRC has 19.7 FP of recoil. So it's going to have a little less. So this 6.8 Western is going to have a little bit more recoil or felt recoil than this 6.5 PRC. So keep that in mind. To put that in terms you can understand, a 270 Winchester is going to have 20.6 FP of recoil, whereas the 6.8 Western is going to have 24.8. So this is actually going to recoil a bit more, touch more than a 270 Winchester. So that's something to keep note of. However, 270 Winchester is a long action cartridge, and it's going to have 14.5 inches of wind drift roughly with a 10-mile-an-hour crosswind at 500 yards, whereas this is only going to have 13. Also, 270 Winchester, you know, depending on the ballistic calculations you get to put in, but using the same ones, this is going to have 30 inches of drop at 500 yards, whereas, the 270 is going to have 30 inches of drop at 500 yards, whereas the 6.8 Western is going to have only 27. So it's going to be a little flatter shooting than your 270 Winchester. So, it's a great cartridge. Was it needed? No. Does it fill a sweet spot and improve on things out there a little bit? Yes. But it wasn't a necessary cartridge to come out with. It's a great cartridge. It's something to look at. We'll see how it pans out in the future. So that's my quick and dirty review of the 6.8 Western.